Hey everybody, how you doing? John and Forrest here with the Bode Real Estate Group, back for another monthly market update, albeit a little bit later into the month than our previous promises of the first week. But we've both kind of been on these short little vacations here and there and getting some extra family time in this last month here. So welcome back.
This month I think we wanted to just touch on, there's not a whole lot to touch on because we're kind of dog days of summer. Everyone's fully in vacation mode, kids aren't back to school yet, but a couple of things to touch on in terms of like the stats, and also just kind of what we're seeing out there. Like as usual, these videos are meant to be a more of an anecdotal kind of viewpoint from people that do this day in, day out every day, rather than just what the headlines say or anything else. There's kind of a bit of BS going around out there about things right now, so we want to cut through that a little bit and just give you a kind of a brief overview of where we are.
In a nutshell, we did kind of see sales increase a bit year over year for June, which is positive. I've heard from realtors, you see it on social media, oh, we're at the bottom, sales are improving. It's like, well,
how do they know?
How do you know? We've had a pretty few rough months, and there's not necessarily a correlation between the bottom of the market for sales and the bottom of the market for pricing. We could be bottoming out sales-wise, because we've also seen inventory come down just about like 3 to 4% on certain areas. But we can still see the sales improve, meaning like with less inventory, kind of the people that were reaching on pricing or the not so appealing inventory, maybe people are going to hold on to those. Those are coming off the market. The good inventory that people want to buy is getting chewed up pretty fast if it's priced well and appealingly marketed. But for the greater range of detached and townhouses and condos, I still think there's room to come down more on the pricing. And I do think even if we see a month over month sales increase, I think it's going to be, we're going to need a while of that, like a year of that, before we see any kind of even marginal increase in pricing for standardized identical products.
Absolutely, yeah. It's also, even if sales are up a little bit compared to last year, August. Last year was a terrible year. If they're up a little bit, that's great. But we're still double digits below 10-year average.
We're still, over 10% below the 10-year average.
So, I think with the listing side of it, there's probably two elements to why listings are down a little bit. One is probably for the fact that, no one really wants to list their home in August, unless it's a very seasonal area.
Or even late July too. It's you don't really, people are in vacation mode.
When the kids are kind of off school, it's kind of most people, especially detached and stuff, it kind of takes a bit of a back seat. Most houses have kids in it, unless it's a need to sell in the summer. People generally don't do it. We tend to see more listings and more activity in September, October, November than we do in August. So I think that's part of it, but I think also seller fatigue. Forrest hit on there, people taking their homes off the market, people just looking at it, maybe getting a realtor they know, or the local expert around to kind of give them a valuation and going, wow, that's pretty bad. I don't want to do that. And it could be a multitude of reasons. They could just be cashing out, wanting to downsize. In that case, it's probably never going to work in your favor right now compared to whatever numbers were, if you had those numbers in mind. I guess it really only works, like we said before, on the move-up market. You're the family in a condo or townhouse that want to get to detached. That's where the numbers kind of make sense, because although they might hate the price on what they have right now, they might really like to see some of the sale prices on what they wanted to purchase and look at those numbers and figure out that gap, which is compressed quite a bit.
And to touch again on the seller's fatigue, you see. Just before we recorded this video, I was looking through some houses in New West for a client, and you look at it, it's that seems okay price. It's nothing special. It's probably 50, 60 grand more that's actually should be knocked off that to get to a sales figure. And then you look at that, and they've been up for 60 days with one price reduction of 50 grand. And then you look at the history, and they've been listed on and off with small week-long gaps since mid-2025, and their starting price in mid-2025 is anywhere from $150 to $400,000 depending on the property type, higher than they are now. So it's that's where that fatigue is really set in. You see, realtors taking listings of clients even though they know they're overpriced. No, we just want to test the market. And now over a period of like 8 months, they've just come down hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably a couple of showings a week. So it's just like they're getting fatigued. And maybe to parlay into our next points, the realtors are also getting fatigued. And I think because of that, the deals that are happening are so nuanced and picky and wonky and so hard to put together, that it's just kind of like it's a lot. Like every deal seems to have something that's just a little bit out of the norm, that we've got a hoop we've got to jump through, or an extra fix we've got to do, or like arguments over little things that you really wouldn't see in a much more balanced market. And I think the realtors are getting fatigued. And as John will jump in on, it's kind of, we're seeing it in the offers.
Yeah, okay, there's a few things we're noticing. Like that's one of them. Like deals are more complex, subject to sale deals. Like I have a place, I want to buy your place, but I need to sell mine first. That's always been around, but we're getting a lot of that, of course, right? We're also getting a lot of people offering on our listings, and then we're kind of countering back at a very reasonable kind of, let's make this happen, but here's our kind of next counter, we want to negotiate. And then people just go like, nah, I'm just going to walk away. Like, and it's kind of like, well, you offered. Like, do you not want to see this through? And like, it's not necessarily like, they're like, oh, I can't do that. Like, they're willing to come back with the same price again if they want, but they just kind of go like, no, it's okay. We'll just leave it, or like, you know what? There's like, you know, we jumped the gun. There's a lot of this kind of like flakiness going on.
And a caveat of that is there's a time and a place for that. Like if generally we don't take massively overpriced listings, but you know, I will do that as a buyer's agent. We'll submit an offer that we think is fair and within a range of market value, even though they're like 40, 50, 60 grand overpriced. And we're talking on a townhouse.
Just did over the weekend.
Just did over the weekend.
Yeah.
And we'll just walk. We'll just be like, okay, whatever, we'll leave it. We'll come, you know what I mean? Because we know that the gap is just, it's too big. The realtor's not doing a good enough job making them realize what true market value is, or they don't really care, they don't rent it out, like whatever.
And that is the right thing to do in that situation.
Yeah.
But when
we're talking about close numbers,
yeah, and it's kind of like, you know, it's not really about the price. Maybe they're just having second thoughts, or like maybe they've seen something else they like, or maybe they're just going, you know what, I'm going to wait till September, October when more listings come up. Like there's just a lot of this kind of flakiness and
it can come from the realtors too. Like, or it's like the realtors are hungry for deals. So it's like, even though they know their clients like have a few things in mind, they're pushing them to offer on something, and the offer's in, and then they're changing their minds, and it's just creating a lot of scrambling, I find, for realtors in general.
Yeah, and the data in terms of the realtor side of it, which obviously the public doesn't really see a whole lot of it, is like a lot of realtors are quitting. We look at the numbers going down every week. We log onto the MLS, we can see how many members are on the board, right? And we're the Greater Vancouver board, which is kind of north of the river, and there's the Fraser Valley board, which is south of the river. Obviously, we operate all over, but that's kind of our board. There's two major boards around here. And the numbers keep dropping, and they're down thousands from the top.
This is the first time in a while that we've been under 14,000 members at the.
Yeah, I think it's been like that for at least pre-COVID. I think maybe 2019, 2020. So a lot of people are quitting, and bearing in mind a license is 2 years. So a lot of people that decide to quit now, their license could be up, summer next year. It's not going to show in the data until past summer next year, right? So I think what's happening, if you look at the numbers, like all the kind of top 10% of realtors are kind of doing okay, and they're kind of doing the same amount of business, maybe a little bit down compared to what they did a couple of years ago or whatever. But if you look at like the newer agents trying to get in, or the ones who are been doing it for a while, but have always been doing like 5 to 10 deals a year or something, or like maybe even less, they're kind of just doing nothing. And I think that this is what's happening, is that because the market is so complex, because deals are not easy and straightforward, it's not as simple as show house, write offer, negotiate price, do this. Like, it's not as anymore. It's just like a meandering line of like reactivity and problem solving. It's just kind of making people go, I can't do this, or I don't want to do this, because it's not easy anymore. So I guess in a way, I think what we're going through right now overall from a realtor side and from a consumer side is just a reworking of a very unhealthy real estate business industry and a real estate market for best part of 10 years prior to the last couple of years. It's just been crazy.
And so the government doesn't help too with all like the spec tax and the vacancy
Mm-hmm.
tax and the tenancy rules, and it's like they're kind of, in a way, it's like over the last 5 to 8 years, it's like they're kind of watering down like what it means to own a home and what you can do with it. It's kind of seems like we're very much pushing into the territory of it's just like you gotta buy whatever you're buying. It's like you better plan on being there for 5 minimum years and likely 10, because it's just too volatile, and there's no one wants to be a landlord anymore. No one wants to buy a property as an investment unless it's a very appealing numbers.
That segment has been killed. Like, but you know, to be fair, to play devil's advocate to your point, that is correct. There's been basically a war on landlords, for rightly or wrongly, for many years. In a lot of cases, rightly, and the government has done a bit of a shift, and the government now is basically promoting developers. It's all developers can build to make a profit right now. To actually make the numbers work is to build rental housing. That's why rents are coming down like crazy, and you've got this kind of huge amount of rental supply coming to market, huge population contraction and stalling across Canada, and you basically just got this complete oversupply of rental product. Rents are coming down like crazy. Complete oversupply of resale product. Prices are coming down.
There's so many people that have bought condos in like hubs like Surrey Center, and like, you know, the Lougheed Mall area, Metrotown area,
Brentwood,
2-3 years ago, that are, and we're talking condos that were bought for $650,000, right? $650,000. These people, some of them are underwater by $100,000.
So yeah, there's been a lot of
and like that's not recovering in the next 5 years.
There's been a lot of people recently trying to get deals done in those areas where they're, you know, high transit oriented new hubs of, you know, giant towers going up everywhere. And a lot of people who bought, you know, 2020, 2021 pre-sale, like got the keys, they've been living there for a year or two, they rented it out, they want to sell, they're actually underwater on their mortgage. So in order to sell it, not only do they have to say goodbye to all the money they put into it, like their 20% down, their 15% down payment, that's all gone. But they'd actually have to give the bank an extra 30,000-40,000 just to get rid of it, like get rid of the mortgage, right? So it's like they're basically stuck. And then they aren't okay, well, let's rent it, right?
Well, in some cases they're having to live in it even though it's not an appropriate. Like I've talked to people recently, they're like, I can't live in this. I don't want to live in this, and he's gonna have to be there for a minimum 5 to 7 to could be 10 years before he's got enough of his mortgage paid off where he can sell it and just walk away with nothing.
So then the answer comes, well, why not just rent it? But then the rents are down, so then you can't even cover your mortgage or even close to it.
Yeah, you're out.
But then you've also got your strata fees, your taxes, your insurance. You could be down $1,000 a month in these areas on a one bed, right? So it's like, it really is like a case of when you purchased. If you purchased pre-COVID, you're probably fine, right? If you purchased maybe 2020, you're probably fine. Just about, maybe not, I don't know.
Depends on the price.
In those areas, probably not, right? But in a lot of other areas, you're probably fine. But if you purchased in 2021, I would say, depending on the property, like usual, you know, cookie cutter, condo, whatever, you know, you're definitely underwater. If you purchased a house, you could be underwater depending on where it was and what it looks like. I think there's been some success with people owning, like, you know, very desirable, unique properties that are still kind of up a little bit. It's a very segmented market, like we've touched on multiple times before. Where do we go from here? I think more of the same. Like it's just going to be more of the same. This year we've seen a huge drop in prices. You know, across the board, it's 5 to 10.
I don't even think we're there. We're quite finished yet.
No, I don't think
I think
so.
the over the next 3 or 4 months, we're going to see some pretty wild sales, especially at the Fraser Valley.
Yeah.
But even in places like Coquitlam and New West, like historically fairly strong detached markets, like you are seeing quite reasonable, livable homes on average lot sizes in like Coquitlam in like the 1.4 mark for like an average house, 1.4 to 1.5, which used to be 1.7, 1.8.
You say used to be as well. That's not even the peak. We're talking like maybe like 2023.
Yeah, and then in New West, like, you know, 1.25 can get you a pretty decent detached house. Needs a little bit of cosmetic stuff, but good bones, good yard space. So it's like
It's a timeline thing.
Yeah, it'll be very curious to see where it goes, but usually it's like a line of like, there's bad sentiment in the market, prices come down, inventory goes up, sales come down. So we're hopefully, last month we saw sales go up, inventory come down. So if we see a few more months of this, things might balance out a little bit. It could be the bottom of the sales slump, but I definitely think it's quite possible and highly probable that we will see a bit more of a slump in the pricing in a lot of areas.
I think what will happen is the moment that there's a little bit of a whispering in the air that the sales are up a little bit or the market's improving for a sustained period, like a season, like the fall, for example, you're just going to have a lot of people wanting to come back into the market and try and sell their house that they've tried to sell.
Pop the inventory back up
3 times over the last few years and just failed every time. So they're going to go, okay, great. And this is exactly, we're beating the same drum here, but there really is no other drum to beat. No one's coming to save your price. You might be able to sell, but no one's coming to offer you a bit more than today. Whatever you have, I don't think for the next year alone, maybe 2 or 3 years. I think that's just the way it's going to be.
I will call this now. I personally do not think we will see any kind of meaningful price increase on any segment of home for the next 24 months. That's my call.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw it out here. Bookmark this right now.
I sort of share it. I do think there's potential for detached to flatline and potentially towards the end of next year, potentially maybe creep up. But I'm talking about like minuscule. Like
notice how I said meaningful. I'm going to classify meaningful as like 50,000.
So let's say an average house is worth 100,000 more than today.
Yeah.
We're probably looking at least 2028, 2029 for that.
Yeah.
Condos, we're probably looking at least into the next decade, I think, because you look at what supplies still coming to market, until we open up immigration, rates come down like crazy, investors want to start buying again, that segment is going to be flat for a long time.
Yeah.
But there are some really good deals out there, pre-sale, like newly built homes, and also resale right now. It's not a bad time to get in.
It's great for people looking to make the life. It's the same thing. We've said this every month for the last 6 months. But if you want to move from a condo to a townhouse, or a townhouse to a detached, or sell a detached and move down to a condo, it's fine. You can make as long as you can accept the sale price on your home, it's fine.
At the end of the day, this is money.
Yeah.
And obviously money's important, but the reality is we're getting to the point with a lot of our clients now, a lot of people we're talking to on a daily basis, where they just go, you know what, I've been thinking things are going to get better for a couple of years, they're just getting worse. I've accepted the reality for what it is. I want to move on with my life. I'm sick of thinking about real estate. I just want to do what I want to do. And if I have to take less money or retire with less or whatever it is, so be it. I just want this over with, right? And this is the fatigue we're getting with, right? So they're either taking it off the market or they're selling it. But the reality is, if taking it off the market and staying there is an option, great. Be prepared to stay there for a long time if you're looking for more money. That's just the way it is. There's no other way out of this. We're unraveling the biggest bull market of all time in Canada, which we had for 10 years, basically, from 2013 to 2023, call it, with a few bumps along the road. This is the unraveling, right? And at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's like that it has to play out. There has to be a bit more pain. There has to be the cycle working through its own woes. And we're right in the middle of it. But we're very thankful to everyone for supporting us. We managed to get half of the deals done last month, which were great. Some really awesome properties and a real mixed bag. And buying and selling.
And thanks to everyone who we've worked with, and we appreciate you all. And of course, thank you for watching the video. And we will try to be back beginning of next
We'll
month.
be back.
We'll be back in
a few weeks, and we'll give you guys an update. This will be kind of post Labor Day, so it'll be a little bit early to comment on how things will go. But I think once we get into October, we'll start to see whether September's a continuation of the same.
And once again, we came in with the intent of a short 8 to 10 minute video, and we were at the 19-minute.
We love a waffle.
So I think we'll cut it there. But thank you so much again for watching, and please, of course, comment or send us a message if you have any questions about anything.
Thanks, guys. Bye.